All right, guys.
Good evening to you all. And I said my name is Jasper Jumo. For those that have joined us tonight, yesterday we were together again. We are trying to make this advanced diploma in business management very easy. It has to be a very easy journey for you. So that's why we are together to dissect the economics case study. So yesterday we did business finance. So the issue is going to be like this. After this lesson, all the free lessons will be over. There was a free lesson yesterday and a free lesson today. What we are just doing yesterday and today, we are just showing you how we can teach you, and you decide whether you want to continue with us or not. We do not mind if people exit our group after the lesson. It's all fine. What we want is serious people that we are going to take through the whole economic syllabus and prepare for the exam together. We can take past exam papers and prepare the exam together. We are going to do these two subjects, business finance and also economics. Why taking those two modules? Because they are the two modules that people struggle with the most. With advanced management principles and marketing, a person can read and can reason there and there. But with economics, once you are lost in the principles, in the jungle of the principles, you might be lost for good. So that's why we have chosen those two. But if there is somebody who has got a need to be helped in those modules, we are here to assist you. All right. And from today on, from now on, I will stop posting in the other groups where there are students, which the students are admins, because I don't want to disturb the peace in those groups. I understand students are together there, they are discussing their modules, so I don't want to be there and posting my adverts and so on. So all my communication will be in the group that is called microeconomics and business finance. Make sure you are in that group if you want to continue with us, because I'm going to stop dealing with the other groups. I posted the link yesterday and I also posted it today, so that those that want to be with us can join. All right, I think enough said about the preamble. Let me start sharing the question on economics. So the case study is like this. This is the case study. Let me see, there's a message that is coming forth. All right, the message is saying, please record. Yes, I'm recording. All right, we are given a case study. Microeconomics, remember microeconomics, it means you are focusing, you are studying how scarce resources are distributed at a smaller scale or at an individual level. Macro, it's now at a greater scale. That is the difference between micro and macroeconomics. Macro big, micro small. So when we look at microeconomics, we are looking at the tastes and preferences of an individual consumer. But macroeconomics, we are looking at the whole economy at large. So what you're doing now is microeconomics. We are looking at economics at a smaller scale. And economics itself is a science which studies the distribution of scarce resources. How human ones are unlimited and you have got scarce resources. Having scarce resources, it means you have to make a choice. You cannot do whatever you want with the resources that are available, because the resources are limiting. The resources are not ubiquitous. They are not found everywhere in abundance. So with the scarcity, it will force you to make a choice. What to produce, for whom to produce, how to produce, how we are going to mix the factors of production because of the scarce resources. So you are going to answer that question, the basic economic problem or question of scarcity. All right, but today the examiner chose a question. Right, okay, Florence. The examiner, please mute your mics. Please mute your mics. There are a lot of people. Okay, are you still a host, Mr. Tachoi?
I
don't have control now to mute people.
All right.
Since you transfer to the question paper.
All right, you are now host, Mr. Tachoi. You can mute people.
Thank you, will do.
All right, thank you. All right, so On this question, the examiner chose a question on elasticity. Elasticity. I think when I talk of elasticity, what comes to your mind is an elastic. If you think of your pens, some of those pens that have got elastic, so you think of elasticity, the stretchability. If I have got a cord like this, please mute your mics. Mr. Tlachuayo, please look for people that have got live mics. Hey. Let's look for someone to tell me the name of the person with an active mic. We need to mute that.
One clear.
Okay. I wonder if the people were not realizing that they're making a noise. Okay. So I was saying, if we talk of elasticity, we are talking about stretchability. And I want you to define this in layman's terms. How stretchable? If I've got this one, it's used to tie curtains. Okay. So if something is stretchable, we say it's highly elastic. But if something is very rigid, you can't stretch it, it is inelastic. So the examiner today chose a question on elasticity. I've got a pen here. This pen, you cannot stretch it. It is inelastic. But if you take this one, you can stretch it. This one is inelastic, the pen, and this one is elastic. So it means the stretchability of how you can stretch something, that is elasticity. So what I usually do if I'm given a question like this, I believe for today we are only going to do 1.1 and 1.2. Then 1.3, I will leave for those that would have paid, and we'll finish the assignment together, and we'll see how the time goes. Maybe I will be able only to do 1.1. I will see how it goes. It says here, whenever you are given a case study, this is a trick from somebody who is very experienced in these case studies. Wherever you are given a case study, don't rush to read the case study, because you will be forced to remember. You will see, if you start by reading the case study, you will be forced to come back again and read it after reading the questions. So before reading the case study, go to the questions. And if you have gone to the questions before going to the case study, the moment you read the case study, the answers to those questions will be like magnets. They will be coming and they will be attracted to the questions that are already in your mind. So first of all, read the questions and then go to the case study. So question 1.1 says, identify and explain the type of price elasticity for the demand of Starbucks coffee with the aid of a diagram. And the question is specific. It says with the aid of a diagram, which is 1. And then what it needs, it's asking us for the type of price elasticity. That means there are types of price elasticity, but you have to choose one which is being described in the scenario in the case study. It means when you read the case study now, you will be thinking, what type of elasticity is this? What type of elasticity is this? Just for interest's sake, we have got 5 types of elasticity. We have got perfectly inelastic, elastic, perfectly elastic, inelastic, and unitary elasticity. So those are the 5. So you will be thinking as you'll be reading the case study, what type of elasticity is this? Okay, so number 1 is asking for the type of elasticity. Then number 2 is saying Starbucks is measured on luxurious goods, both high quality and high price. That's a statement. I think it's quoted from the case study. Then it says, with reference to the text above and the concept of income elasticity, draw a diagram and explain what would happen to the demand for Starbucks coffee as income increases. So already we are told that it's a luxurious good, high quality, high price. So we need a diagram again that will explain what will happen to the coffee, what will happen to the demand as income increases. Okay. Already I've got something, I've got an idea of what we want to do by simply reading. Okay. Then 1.3 say with the aid of a diagram. That means this whole essay needs 3 diagrams. Diagram for 1.1, diagram for 1.2, and diagram for 1.3. With the aid of a diagram, identify and explain the determinants of supply that would result in an increase and a decrease in the supply of Starbucks coffee. Right, 111. Let me go to the case study now. Let me go to the case study. An overview of the Starbucks pricing strategy. While cutting prices is widely accepted as the best way to keep customers during tough times, the practice is rarely based on a deeper analysis. So they are saying traditionally we know that lowering prices is there to lure customers. But this is not the usual thing. Say the practice is rarely based on a deeper analysis. It means this is a generalization. There's no deeper analysis into this statement. Or testing of an actual customer base. In a Starbucks case, price increases throughout the company's history have already deterred the most price-sensitive customers, leaving a loyal, higher income customer base that perceives these coffee beverages as an affordable luxury. This statement shows that there was a history before Starbucks now, a history where Starbucks was increasing its prices. And by increasing its prices, it created a certain group of loyal customers and it deterred those people that were sensitive to price changes. It means now the customers that are with the Starbucks are not as sensitive to price changes as before. Okay, are we getting these guys? Are you getting the analysis? So this question 1.1, we are only going to answer question 1.1, not based on historical facts, but on current facts. So let's check what are the current facts. In order to compensate for the customers locked to cheaper alternatives like Dunkin' Donuts, Starbucks raises prices to maximize profits from these price-insensitive customers who now depend on their strong gourmet coffee. Rather than trying to compete with cheaper chains like Dunkin', Starbucks uses price hikes to separate itself from the pack. Uses, that means it's current. It is using price hikes. That means the change in price is not a small change, according to this statement. All right. Price hikes, where am I now? To separate itself from the pack and reinforce the premium image of their brand and products. Since their loyal following isn't easily price insensitive, isn't especially price sensitive, a small price increase of Starbucks coffee can have a huge positive impact on their margins without decreasing the demand for beverages. All right? It says now, in addition, without decreasing the demand for beverages. May you please check someone who is, all right. In addition, only certain regions are targeted for each price increase, and prices vary across the US depending on the current markets in those areas. The most recent hike affects the Northeast and the Sun Belt regions, but Florida and California prices remain the same. Starbucks is measured on luxurious, both high quality and high price. They also apply price increases to specific drinks and sizes rather than the whole lot. By raising the price of the tall size brewed coffee exclusively, Starbucks is able to capture customer surplus from the customers who find more value in upgrading to grande after witnessing the price of a small drip with tax climbed over the $2 mark. By visioning the product in this way, the company can enjoy a slightly higher margin from these customers who were persuaded by the price hike to purchase larger sizes. Right. Already, I think we have got an idea of what question 1.1 is like. Right, let's go to question 1.1. It says, identify and explain the type of elasticity for the demand of Starbucks coffee with the aid of a diagram. So we need to to identify and explain the type of price elasticity. Right, so I'll stop sharing this. I'll stop sharing this, then I'll go to where I'm going to write my answer. Okay, I'll reclaim my host. Right. I'll come here and find the whiteboard. All right. So number one, what I usually do on question number one, I will write 1.1, and then after writing 1.1 is about the type of elasticity. Why do I do this? Elasticity. I do this so that when I am doing the table of contents, it will be able to pick up to know that 1.1 is about the type of elasticity. So you can write type of elasticity of Starbucks. Okay, of Starbucks coffee. Right, that is the first one. So usually, if you are confronted with a question like this, what Mancosa wants, they want you to divide the answer into introduction, body, and conclusion. So each answer should be divided in those three sections: introduction, body, and conclusion. So you have to start with the introduction here in your essay. You have to start with the introduction, and then you have to go to the body, and you have to go to the conclusion. You have to go to the conclusion, 1.1. Then you go also to 1.2, you do the same. You go to 1.3, you do the same. All right. Instead of writing body, some people will write main answer, because introduction, then the main answer, and then the conclusion. Am I audible, guys? Someone just to confirm that I'm audible, because the message here coming is that my internet is unstable.
Yes, you are.
Okay, thank you so much. So we want to find out, since this topic that we are dealing with is a topic of on elasticity, we just want to find out what is it that you put in the introduction. So in the introduction, you put the definition. That means you have to define elasticity, definition of elasticity. Elasticity. You know that elasticity is the responsiveness. Elasticity is the responsiveness of a dependent variable. Dependent variable to a change. To a change in an independent variable. All right. So this is elasticity in general, but remember we are talking about the price elasticity of demand. So this one is type of price elasticity. Right. So it is the type of price elasticity. So we have defined elasticity. We also need to define PED, which is price elasticity of demand. PED is standing for price elasticity of demand. Okay. We need to define, so we can say it is the proportionate change. The proportionate change in quantity demanded. Quantity demanded induced by a change in price. So you can, there are so many definitions. Please don't go and copy these things. Remember, I'm just giving you a layout of your answer and what you must do. Let me see, there's a message here in the chat. It says, okay, yes, we can hear. That's Austin. All right, so what are we saying by elasticity? We said elasticity means stretchability. So we are saying the responsiveness of quantity demanded. First of all, we said the responsiveness of a dependent variable to a change in an independent variable. All right, so you have to check between price and quantity demanded, which one is dependent and which one is independent. Between you and your daughter, who is dependent and who is independent. Between me and my daughter, who is dependent and who is independent. My daughter is dependent and I'm independent. So when we say elasticity, we are looking at the responsiveness of my daughter, who is the dependent variable, to a change in an independent variable, who is me. So we are saying, if I say stand up, how is my daughter going to be responsive to that statement? It determines elasticity. Because she is dependent on me, she's going to respond very much because she knows that I'm her dad. But if I take the president and say to the president, President, stand up, the president might not stand up because of the authority. In that case, the president becomes the independent variable. So we are looking at how the dependent, the one that relies on something, responds to a change in the independent. So price, so let me just do this. I just want to highlight something here. Price, therefore, is the independent variable. And then quantity demanded is the dependent variable. What have I said? Yes, is the dependent variable. That's right. All right, quantity demanded is the dependent variable. So we are saying price is independent. That means quantity demanded depends on a change in price. So our elasticity measures the change in the dependent variable, which is quantity demanded, to a change in price. So the definition of price elasticity of demand needs to be defined in your introduction. Then again, in your introduction, you need to highlight the types of PED, which are the types of PED, which are unitary elasticity, then you have got perfectly elastic, then you have got perfectly inelastic, then you have got elastic, and you've got inelastic. So you have to define or to highlight the types of PED, because the question is asking you to identify the type of PED that is represented by Starbucks coffee. So you need to, in your introduction, but your introduction should be about 7 to 8 lines where you define the key terms and you highlight. Then at the end of it, you have to write that in our case of Starbucks, we have to identify, based on the responsiveness of quantity demanded to a change in price, the type of elasticity that is depicted by Starbucks coffee. That is the end of your introduction. Then in your body, that's where you do the actual identification. After reading this case study, is there someone who wants to try the type of elasticity? I'm thinking you know elasticity by now. Okay, do you want me to go through these 5 a little bit so that you can be able to pick up what type of elasticity is Starbucks coffee? Quickly, do you want me to go through those types quickly? Someone to say yes or no?
Yes.
All right,
Yes.
no problem. No problem. Right. So let's start with the unitary elasticity. Unitary elasticity is when the elasticity is equals to 1. What do we mean? We mean percentage change. Percentage change in QD is equals to percentage change. Is equals to percentage change in price. Please mute your mics. Please mute your mics. Right, thank you. So on unitary elasticity, it means if the change in quantity demanded is 10%, the change in price is also 10%. That is unitary. 10 over 10 is equals to 1. So the formula for price elasticity of demand is always percentage change in quantity demanded over percentage change in price. That is the formula. Percentage change in quantity demanded over percentage change in price. All right. That is the formula. I see someone who has given me the type of elasticity there. Okay. Then perfectly elastic. When we say perfectly elastic, we mean elasticity, which is sometimes written by, we can say PED. PED, perfectly elastic, is equals to infinity. Is equals to infinity. That is perfectly elastic. What does it mean? It means that a small change in price will bring about an infinity change in quantity demanded. That is perfectly elastic. That means if I've got this rope, perfectly elastic, it means if I just pull a little bit on my price, the change in the quantity demanded will become infinity. It will continue stretching over and over again. Again, that is someone that is that is a theoretical type of elasticity, because we are saying a small change in price will bring about an infinity change in quantity demanded. It's not real somehow. So you see these perfectly inelastic and perfectly elastic, they are not very real in real life, right? So perfectly elastic is when PED is equals to 0. PED is equals to 0. So what are we saying? We are saying even if the price changes, quantity demanded will not change. Inelastic, that means it's not stretchable. It's not stretchable. Is that a question? All right. Perfectly inelastic, it means it will be inelastic. It will be not stretchable. It means a small change in price will not cause any change in quantity demanded. That is perfectly inelastic. I can show you these on the graphs. I can do that later. That is perfectly inelastic. Then elastic, it means PED is greater than 1. Is greater than 1. PED is greater than 1. When it's greater than 1, but less than infinity, it means that elastic, if you take a rugby ball, not a rugby ball, a golf ball and a soccer ball, which one is elastic when you bump it? Zandile. Which one is elastic? The golf ball and the soccer ball.
The soccer ball.
Yes, the soccer ball. Why? If you take the soccer ball and you just throw it a little bit on the ground without much force, it is going to bounce maybe 3-4 times. That's what the soccer ball would do. 3-4 times the soccer ball would bounce. All right. So the soccer ball is elastic. The soccer ball is elastic. Then the golf ball is not elastic. So elastic, it means the PED is greater than 1. It means a small change in price will bring about a greater change, a more than proportionate change in quantity demanded. That is elastic. Then inelastic, it means PED, price elasticity of demand, is less than 1. Is less than 1. It means a bigger change in price does not trigger a bigger change in the quantity demanded. All right. Well, Demarcato had answered that. All right, guys, please mute your mics. Please mute your mics. All right. So now, let's go to the case study. Let's go to the case study. Okay, let's go to the case study. The case study says here, in order to compensate for the customers lost to the cheap alternative like Dunkin' Donuts, I'm reading from here, Starbucks raised prices to maximize profits from these price-sensitive customers who now depend on their strong government coffee. Rather than trying to compete with the cheaper chains like Dunkin', Starbucks uses price hikes to separate itself from the pack and reinforce the premium image of their brand and product. Since their loyal following isn't especially price sensitive, that's where we get our answer from. A small price increase can have a huge positive impact on the margins without decreasing the demand for beverages. Okay. It means the small increase in price, it can cause an increase in, you see here on top, where it says price insensitive up to this point. Since their loyal following isn't especially price sensitive, that means these people are not price sensitive. If they are not price sensitive, what type of the elasticity of demand is that? What type of elasticity of demand is that? If they are not especially price sensitive. The price sensitive one have been left already. These ones are especially price insensitive. So what?
Perfectly
All right. Someone is saying perfectly. Someone is saying perfectly inelastic.
inelastic.
How many agree?
I
Palisa
disagree with the
says,
inelastic one.
Palisa says inelastic. Then Florence says perfectly elastic.
Perfectly inelastic.
Tolewa, you have got a raise hand. Please speak. Tolelwa.
Inelastic demand.
Inelastic demand, perfectly inelastic. All right. The people that are saying perfectly inelastic and those that are saying elastic, those people are almost in the same category. But I've got a certain group of people that are saying elastic. If we say these are elastic, if we are saying elastic, it means a small increase in price, it will cause the demand to decrease to zero. So elastic is out completely. Elastic is out completely. Do we agree? Because our demand curve is negatively sloping. Our demand curve in such a way that an increase, it is such a way that an increase in price, the demand curve is always negatively sloping. It means an increase in price always decrease quantity demanded. So if we say elastic, it means a small increase in price will cause a huge change in quantity demanded, which is not the case with Starbucks coffee. Starbucks coffee is people that are insensitive to price changes. So the answer now is in between perfectly inelastic and perfectly elastic. All right. So we want to choose between these two. So I'll stop sharing here and go back to my answer. I want to share this screen, whiteboard. So we are saying our answer is between perfectly inelastic or elastic. Okay. Sorry. Or inelastic. Inelastic. All right. Guys, tell me. Which one are we going to choose here? Which one are we going to choose? Someone is saying perfectly inelastic. I would not say perfectly inelastic. If I would be asked to choose, like in this question, I would choose elastic. Why? If we choose perfectly inelastic, it means this is Starbucks coffee. He has got the liberty to increase its price to infinity. There is totally no change in quantity demanded. While that is not the case, the case is like these customers are not, they are not as sensitive as the customers that are. They are sensitive. We are told that the change in price will automatically lead to the increase in profits. The change is there, but it is small. So I will call this one inelastic, meaning that the small change, okay, the huge increase in price of coffee, the huge increase in the price of coffee will result in a small decrease in quantity demanded, of that coffee. Okay, it's not zero, but it's small. Why? Where do we take it from? Let me take the quotation and put it there. Okay, says here, I've taken the quote and then I'm putting it there. Right, let me do this. Quantity of coffee. I'm putting the quotation. You can look for it there. I've put it in italics. Okay. I did the quotation. Since they are loyal, following isn't especially price sensitive. All right. So when we say these ones are okay. When we say they are not price sensitive, it means a huge increase in price of coffee will result in a small decrease in quantity demanded of that coffee. The ultimate result will be an increase in revenue. It will be an increase in revenue or an increase in customer expenditure. Remember, customer expenditure is revenue to the people that are supplying. It's revenue to the people that are supplying. So we want to see, that's why they said with the aid of a diagram. We want to see with an aid of a diagram. Are we going to see such an example? All right. So let me take this graph. I want to use this graph over here. That is the graph that I want to use that shows inelastic demand. Inelastic demand shows a huge increase in price from P2 to P1. It has caused a very small decrease in quantity demanded. So what do we mean by this? Let's imagine this is the scenario of Starbucks coffee. So it means the initial price of coffee was P2 and quantity traded was Q1. The quantity traded was Q1. Okay, let me see their messages there. Okay, someone is saying, may you please show me how to draw the graph? I think in this question, it doesn't require us to draw the graph from scratch because it says with an aid of a diagram. It says with an aid of a diagram. There's no need to draw the graph. If I'm to teach you to draw the graph here, we will spend all the time drawing the graph and not answering the question. This question doesn't want you to draw any graph from scratch. It needs you to take a certain graph and you explain using that graph. Like this question this graph that I've taken, you acknowledge that you've taken this graph from so and so. Then in your explanation, you refer and you have to write its figure 1 on top there, which shows inelastic. So you have to write it like this. Let me see if I can. You can write figure 1. Figure 1, which is inelastic demand. Okay. Shows inelastic demand. So that's how you write it, just like that. Okay. Okay, someone is saying, should quantity traded be Q2? Okay, it's QE. Thank you so much. It's QE. It's QE. So the initial price of coffee was P2 and the quantity traded was QE. So you take it from there. The initial price of coffee was P2 and we come here and the quantity traded or the quantity demanded was QE according to this graph. Now, the revenue. How do you get revenue? The revenue at that price. And that price was 0 was equals to the area covered by 0. Okay, let me do this. 0 P2 from 0 to P2 and then 0 QE. Remember the formula to find the area is length times width. So we multiply the price, which is 0 P2 times quantity. That's how you find your revenue. If you want to see how much you get when you sell these glasses, you say the price of one glass times the quantity of the glasses that you sell. Now the price of one glass is your P2, which is here with the price of coffee. Then the quantity is QE. So the revenue is equivalent to 0 P2 times 0 QE, which is this expression. This expression is representing the area, and the area is the revenue. Okay. I see a lot of people that are asking questions. Let me focus. If I start focusing on those questions, we will not progress. I will answer them at the end. All right. The initial price, P2, so the area, this is the initial revenue. So an increase in price, like what Starbucks is doing, an increase in price by Starbucks. Please mute your mics. Okay. Please mute your mics. Okay. So an increase in price by Starbucks from P2 to P1 causes quantity traded to decrease from quantity traded to decrease from QE to Q1, right? So you are explaining this graph because this is the graph that shows or that explains what is happening in that case study. Because in that case study, we are seeing that Starbucks is increasing its revenues by playing around with the elasticity of demand. Because the people are not sensitive, they are having price hikes. They're increasing the prices because they know that the people are not sensitive to the price increase. So it's causing a slight decrease in quantity demanded. Look at the gap by which the price has jumped from P2 to P1, but look at the gap by which quantity traded has decreased from QE to Q1. It means the new revenue is now O P1 and then times O Q1. Okay. Then if you are submitting, you can label this area. Can you see this area? It means this whole area that is called revenue gain. We have gained that revenue because our area is now from here to there, to there, to there. That's our revenue. Our revenue was once this area. So this whole area, it represents the revenue that has been gained. And this whole area, it represents the revenue that has been lost by an increase in price. That's why in the case study it says it would compensate. Okay, let me go to that statement. Let me go to that statement in the case study. In the case study, that's why they say prices remain the same. They say the most recent hikes affect the Northeast and the Sun Belt, but Florida, California prices remain the same. Starbucks, they also apply price increase to specific drinks. So they know that if they apply that hike, there will be a compensation that happens between those. There is going to be a decrease in some, but there is going to be an increase in price, and it will result in a compensation of revenue. And the compensation of revenue will result in an ultimate increase in revenue. And that ultimate increase in revenue is what we want in Starbucks. All right, where is my... I can't see my whiteboard now. I think it's here. All right. So our new revenue is that. That's why I also gave you this graph to show that an increase. Please mute your mics. Okay. That's why I also gave you this graph to show that C represents a loss in revenue because of an increase in price. Then A represents a gain in it represents a gain in revenue because of an increase in price. So ultimately, it will result in an increase in the revenue of the coffee. So this is what is being represented by this case. This is what has happened to Starbucks. So what has happened is, like, before, when they were in the lower prices, the customers were very sensitive. That means they were in the elastic part, but now they are in the inelastic part of the demand curve. All right. Any questions at this juncture? You are allowed to unmute your mic and talk to me before we move to question number, before we do the conclusion. Any question? Did you understand, guys? All right, someone prefers to type. All right, yes, this answer is to question 1.1. Then how do you quote? Let's say you got this question from Mo. You can say Mo. Okay. 2020. All right, then you do this, maybe it's page 21. Then leave it like this. This is how you do it. You have done the referencing of a graph there. Okay, yes, we are going to cover 1.2. Okay, so under the conclusion, so you need those graphs. Under the conclusion, you can just do this. So this graph, you remember, you are only supposed to draw one graph. So let's say you choose either this graph or the graph that I showed you above, which is this one. But make sure that your explanation tallies with what you have explained. Okay, let's go to the conclusion. Let's go to the conclusion. All right, the Palisa is asking, where did you get that graph? I'm looking at my study guide and I cannot find a graph like that. It is there, Palisa, I'll show you. There is definitely a graph like that, I'll show you. All right, let's look at the conclusion. So in the conclusion, you tie the loose ends. You summarize everything. So you can say, if a good, yes, inelastic demand, then revenue can be increased. Revenue can be increased. Revenue can be increased by increasing the price, because the consumers do not respond much. Do not respond much to a decrease, to an increase. To an increase in price. All right, do not respond much to an increase in price. Then you also talk about elastic demand. Elastic demand, which is an opposite of this. Elastic demand, we can say companies can increase revenue. Can increase revenue by lowering the price to boost the sales. Because this is elastic demand, it means a small increase, a small decrease in price, it will result in a response in quantity demanded. A lot of people will come and buy. So that's how you're going to conclude. Right, let's move to question 1.2. Okay, that one is answered. 1.2. 1.2 talks about, let me go to the question. I'll stop sharing that and go to the question. Where is my question? Right, there it is. The question is asking, saying, Starbucks is measured on luxurious goods, both high quality and high price. With reference to the text above and the concept of income elasticity, draw a diagram and explain what would happen to the demand for Starbucks coffee as income increases. All right, so what will happen here is, someone is asking which diagram am I using? I think I've answered that. You choose either the first one or the second one because they explain the same. Okay, so let me do this. All right, guys, I will attend to the questions in the chat box later because I'm keeping moving from this to this. All right, Brenda, no problem. So this one is talking about income elasticity of demand and luxurious goods. Luxurious goods. So I just do it like this so that when I pick up, when I'm doing the table of contents, it picks it up. Remember to do the automatic table of contents. All right, so I'll do it like this. The introduction, the body, and the conclusion. And the conclusion. The introduction, I will rush, guys, because our time. Right, so our introduction, you need to introduce or to define income elasticity of demand. Income elasticity of demand, which is the responsiveness. Responsiveness is the responsiveness of quantity demanded to a change in price, right? To a change in income, sorry, to a change in income, which is often abbreviated YED. Income elasticity of demand is often abbreviated YED, which is equals to percentage change in quantity demanded, which is QD, over percentage change in income. That's how you find income elasticity of demand. So in your introduction, you also have to mention that different types of goods, different types of goods have different YEDs or different elasticity of demand, different YEDs. Okay. E.g., we have got what we call normal goods. We have got what we call normal goods. They have got a positive YED. They've got positive YED. When we say positive YED, we mean if income increases, the demand for those ones will increase. Then we have got what you call inferior goods. Inferior goods, they've got YED that is between, we have got inferior goods, they might have negative YED. All right. As you can see here, they have got negative yield, and then we have got necessities. Where are we now? Right. Then we have got necessities. Necessities, they have got yield between 0 and 1, usually. All right, someone is writing there. I don't know who it is. It's not me, definitely. Right. Right. So we have got, these are the types of income elasticity of demand. We have got yield for normal goods, which is positive, which means an increase in income results in an increase in the consumption of those goods. And then we have got inferior goods, which got negative yield. Oh, I said negative, yes, yep. It's negative yield. An example of inferior good is, someone to tell me the kind of relish that you use when you are broke. What did you use? The chicken feet? Or the fresh capenda? The type of food that you eat when your income decreases, those are inferior goods. Normal goods are those that you eat, like beef. Beef is a normal good. So in this case, you need to identify now this coffee, what type of a good it is. All right. So this coffee is a luxury good. That means it's a normal good, which has got a more positive yield. Right. So when you come to the body here, yeah, you need to identify Starbucks. Hey, people are coming in and going out. Starbucks coffee. Identify Starbucks coffee, whether Starbucks coffee is a normal good, inferior good, or it's a necessity. In this case, it is a normal good. And this normal good is named a Veblen good. It is a Veblen good. So a Veblen good is one good which sometimes when prices increases, it takes different forms. A Veblen good, when price increases, even its demand also increases. And it has got a more positive. Okay. So we can say it has got a more positive yield. Okay, meaning that a small increase in income will result in a larger increase in the quantity demanded. That is the kind quantity demanded. Right. That is the kind of a good that this coffee is, because it says with an aid of a diagram, you need to identify, because when you're talking about income elasticity of demand, different goods, they actually respond differently to the changes in income. Some goods are demanded less when income increases. Just like when your income increases, are you going to consume more of chicken feet or less of it? Or even the chicken gizzards and livers? You tend to leave those things when your income increases. So those are called inferior goods. But your normal goods, they tend to increase as income, they tend to have a positive yield. But if you look at this chicken feet, when income decreases, you increase the consumption thereof. All right. So in this case, our coffee is a normal good. We have identified it. And it is a special type of a normal good, which is called a Veblen good. And a Veblen good is called a good of snob appeal. All right, let me add more here. Veblen goods are of snob appeal. That means they show status. They show status, right? So it means that the elasticity of the yield is much positive. is much positive for this type of a good. All right. So you come here, and this is not the diagram that you draw. This is not the diagram that you draw, because remember, you need to show with an aid of a diagram. This diagram, I just put it there to show you an example of a Veblen good. So a Veblen good, it is a good that's when its prices increases. From down here, it shows the behavior of a normal good. But when you go to certain price levels, this is exactly what is depicted in that case study. Because remember, before, Starbucks used to charge low prices, and it had a demand curve like this. But later, the demand curve changed. That means it became a good of snob appeal. But this is not the graph that you are going to use in this answer, so I'm going to remove it. Right. So you are going to show that the income elasticity of demand of a luxury good is positive. Yeah. Please mute your mic. Okay. For normal goods is positive, and for a luxury, it's strongly positive. For a necessity, it's between 0 and 1. That means for a luxury good like this coffee, it is above 1. So this is the graph that you draw, right? Not that you draw, that you use. Okay, this is the graph that you use. You would say, this is, I think you can see it's positive. Yes, you don't draw a graph specifically. It says with an aid of a diagram. So you can get a diagram from the internet and you reference it. But make sure that your diagram explains what you want to explain about income elasticity of demand. So you come here and say, this is actually the graph that is needed on that question 1.2, because it has got income on the x-axis and quantity demanded on the y-axis. So it shows that a small increase in income of 5% has caused a huge increase in the quantity demand of this good, right? So this is the case of the coffee. This is the case of the coffee. So the conclusion, you can write about inferior goods and necessities. Just to conclude, to give a summary of the behavior of the income elasticity of demand. Remember, our question is saying, if we go to the case study, our question is saying Starbucks is measured on luxurious, both high price and high quality and high price. So you have to explain the concept of a Veblen good in a second paragraph after the introduction. You have to identify that this good is a Veblen good because it is of high quality and high price. All right. Then here you need to identify that it is a normal good because it has got a positive yield, a positive income elasticity of demand. Because it says with the reference to the text above, it says text above, which is this one, because it is luxury. It says the concept of income elasticity, draw a diagram and explain what would happen to the demand for Starbucks coffee if income increases. So if income increases, it also increases. This is the graph that you should show. The graph that I've shown you there. Right, this is the graph. This one, you don't need to draw it. And if you can show it like this, that's not a problem. It's not a diagram, but the diagram that you need is this one. Then conclusion, you tie the loose ends and you bring everything together. Then question number 1.3, the determinants of supply. Make sure on the determinants of supply, you leave out the price of the good, because the price of the good, it causes the movement along the supply curve. But all the other factors, they cause the shift of the supply curve. So what diagram do you need to show this answer on 1.3? 1.3 only needs one graph. One graph, which is a supply curve. It's a x-axis, y-axis, one curve that is positive like this. Then you draw another one parallel, another one parallel. Then from the one that is in the middle, you draw an arrow going to the left, an arrow going to the right. That is the only graph that is needed. That means when you're explaining, you will be explaining when you, let's say you're explaining about technology. you will be explaining by increase in supply, which is a shift to the right, a decrease in supply, a shift to the left. So you only be explaining on one graph. That is 1.3. I don't want to go deeper into 1.3. All right, guys. This is our lesson today. Any question before I conclude? Any question? You can unmute your mic and speak. You can unmute your mic. Yes, there's a hand that is up. Olewa.
On question 1.2, it says we must draw. So I'm not quite sure if you say we must
All right.
put on the graph that you showed us.
All right. That one that says you must draw, they should have given you figures for you to be able to draw.
Oh,
Yeah, if they haven't given you figures to say the initial price was this, then the next price was this, you cannot draw, but you can just illustrate with the diagram.
okay.
Yes, even if they say draw,
Okay,
you illustrate with the diagram.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right. Those that want a lesson on how to draw a graph, please come to the lessons. All right, guys. So thanks, Tolewa. Another question, Dikeledi? DK.
Good evening. Quick question. Would you be able to demonstrate how you do the table of content automatically?
Yes, I can do that. Right. Let me do this. Please don't leave as yet. There's an important question that has been asked here. So what you do, okay. Hlachwayo? Mr. Hlachwayo, are you there?
I'm listening.
All right, I want you to read the questions that are in the chat box while I illustrate here how to draw the automatic table of contents. All right, so you see, guys, this is the table of contents. So you come here. You come here. Okay, let's say you write 1.1 and you put your cursor there. Let's say you want to use that one for heading number 1. So you go. Have you seen what I've done? I've put my cursor at the beginning and I've gone to heading number 1 and clicked there. Then you go to, let me see, you go to, this one was supposed to be 1.2. 1.2. So you come there and write heading number 2. Then let's say there is number 3. Let me just put 1.3. Oh, it's there already. 1.3, heading number 1. All right. You see what I've done? So let's say there was, I want to do something hypothetical. I want to do something hypothetical there. Let's say there was 1.3.1, which was talking about price. I'll just write price there. You would come here. Let's say you are choosing heading 2. So as you continue, you can choose heading 2 or you continue just clicking heading 1. And then you do this. After you have clicked like that, you come here on top and say references, and then table of contents. Then let's say you want this one that is staggered. You click the table of contents that is staggered. Okay, then it brings the table of contents there. It is automatic. So you can then go back and change that one. You go home and change the letters there to become black, and you change, if you can change the font, everything if you want. All right, are you answered? Who was that? DK. Yeah, I think you might need more sessions, or you can watch this over and over again.
Thank you so much.
All right, you're welcome.
And
Austin
wants to know if you'll be able to share this Word document that you've just shown.
Yes, I will be able to, but only to those that are joining the class. Right. All right, guys.
Sorry.
Another question.
Hi. Hi, this is Badesane. I wanted to know, joining the class, do you mean like the one that we pay for? Is that what you
Yes,
mean?
exactly.
Oh, great. Okay, great.
All right. Is relatively elastic the same as elastic? Yeah, relatively elastic, it means it's not perfectly elastic, but it's elastic. So it's the same just as saying elastic. It's a question that I saw there. Okay. All right, guys. So what we are going to do is, I'm not going to force people to join the class. Those that are going to join the class for economics is going to be 650 for economics. That means to complete this essay, if you want any question, if you pay that 650, if you want any guidance in this essay, 650, plus doing the whole syllabus. We are going to do the whole syllabus. That means all the units plus 2 question papers for exam preparation when the time comes in that 650. Right. Then those that want business finance, it's also 650. So 650 for economics, 650 for business finance. Education can never be this cheap, guys. So if you want, we can take you through until you get your distinctions. But however, if you cannot, if you want personalized help, you can still hit my inbox. I'll still help you. And I will not continue in the normal ADBM group. I will not share things there because there are other students. I want to respect their privacy. I will share in the group that is called Microeconomics and Business Finance. Make sure you're in that group. Right. Aubrey Matebula have got a question. Dikeled has got a question. Then the other thing, I will share the banking details. When you pay, you write your name plus the subject for which you are paying. And we also allow, if you don't have enough, the whole amount now, you can pay half of it now and pay later, because this is until you write. So there's no need to pay everything now if you don't have it. You can actually pay maybe 300 for economics, 300 for business finance, and then finish up the balances later. That's not a problem. Okay. I think I've explained myself. Let me see. Aubrey, you have a question?
Hi. Yes, I just wanted to find out, do we have to mention like your introduction, body, and conclusion, or we just write without mentioning that?
You need to.
Okay.
Yes.
All right, thanks.
Thank you, DK.
Just in terms of the lessons that you would give going forward, would those be during the week, or would they fall, let's say, after our classes on Saturdays?
It just depends on the people that would have paid. We'll discuss this with the people that would have paid. I'm flexible midweek and weekends. We'll just do once. Yes. Marketing and business, it's I'll only do those ones if you want. So